in Omaha to catch the action. The Inner Rail Food Hall. There's plenty of space. The Backstretch Bar has amazing game specials on game days. $15 Blue Moon and Bud Light pitchers, $6 margaritas, and $6 Moscow Mules. And if you're hungry, take in some of their great options from their game day pizza specials. Do football game day right in the Inner Rail Food Hall in Exarban Village in Omaha.
What a day. I could sure use an afternoon pick-me-up. Hold up. The new 93.7 The Ticket location has a milk, coffee, and tea inside? Oh, yeah. This is a game changer.
Need an afternoon pick-me-up? How about a coffee or smoothie on your way to work? Stop by the Ticket Mill location on 1040 O Street to get your go-to drink or try out our new game day drinks exclusive to the Ticket Mill location. We know it'll make your day a million times better.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
First, I hold my hands out like they're on a steering wheel. Then I look over my shoulder. Next, I put it in reverse.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
These headphones, man, they're throwing everyone else off. Well, this is the Niko project as we get everyone's headsets locked in. There we go. I think Niko is all locked in there now.
We're good to go, guys.
We're set. We are
all
locked
right, everybody.
in.
Thank you, Harrison, for the help with that. Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is Niko Schultz on the Niko Project here live every single Sunday from 1 to 2 p.m. Joining me live here today is a personal favorite guest of mine. He goes by the name of Steve Schultz. Yes, you heard that right, Steve Schultz. He is my grandpa from Illinois. So a little story time for you guys. This past weekend, we actually were celebrated at this Nebraska game. We got our rings for winning the Big Ten championship last year for our outdoor season. And so they celebrated our championship by throwing us on to the field of the third break of the third quarter. And so we got there, we got our rings, and they gave us a little video, and the whole entire stadium of all like 92,000, 85,000 people ended up clapping for us. It was awesome. It was a great moment. And the family came in from Illinois, so everybody came, and they're all making their way back to Illinois right now. It's about 7.5 hour drive with my grandpa. He's decided to stay the way. We're going to go ahead and knock out this little radio show here for you guys today. So, Grandpa, man, how you feeling about being on my show today?
I'm excited. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, of course. I just got to tell you guys, man, this is my number one supporter right here. I mean, day in and day out, he's watching every single one of my shows, every single one of my YouTube content creation things. Even when I'm getting no views, he's always the guy to text me like, hey, man, love the video, love the content. He's staying up to date on everything. So this is my number one guy right here. So this show is going to be all about him today, all about his story. And he does have one hell of a story for you guys here for the show today. So go ahead and stay tuned. So Grandpa, I want you to go ahead and kind of give an introduction of, who you are, what you do, and then we can go back in time, hop into the time capsule real quick, cover everything. So for the fans out there, I believe you're 60, you 63 now, 62?
I'll be 66 this year.
66 this year. And so that's a lot of history behind you, man. You have a lot of stories to tell. Talk about how you grew up, man. Illinois, worked in the union. Give us the rundown.
Well, first of all, I want to say how proud I am of you all these years. I mean, you guys, you have killed it the last 3 years. And I'm super proud of you. I'm super proud of your whole family. I mean, they have done a great job. Your parents did a great job with you and your brother. And when you got here, you've killed it. I mean, you've done a great job. And, people don't realize track, you do this indoor season. That's for what, 2 months. Right. And then you get a couple weeks break, and then you got another 2 months. So from January till May, you're going strong. And, you're trying to do your schoolwork, you're doing your podcast, you're at a radio show. And I mean, you're doing a fantastic job, man. I just want to say I'm proud of you, man. I mean, you're doing great, man. And the whole Prep family's proud of you.
Hey, man. Thank you. Love you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
All right. Well, so yeah, I'm 63. I got married, and then I got divorced in 80. And I got custody of 3 kids. So I raised your dad and his 2 sisters. And it was tough growing up, but worked through it. And, you guys have all, all the kids came out great, man. I mean, your dad's successful, the two girls are successful, and raised great families, and things have gone real good. So I had 43 years in the carpet business, and so I retired in 21, and so got done in 21 in May, and I thought, okay, hey, this is going to be great. It's going to be a great retirement. Well, then all of a sudden, I had some extra insurance, so I thought, I might as well use it up and see what happens, and get some things looked at. Had a little lump in my neck, and sure enough, come June, got a diagnosis. I got cancer. So that was a nice kick in the teeth, and it started a trend where, you had to fight through it, and started from scratch, and that was the whole system with retirement. I mean, now it's like all of a sudden, well, now we got a new battle to fight. And you work all that life, and you're looking forward to your retirement years, and now it's like, okay, life throws you a little curveball, and you know what? There's a lot of curveballs in life. You got to ups and downs, twists and turns, and you got to adjust with the flow. And so that's what we did. So
Yeah, 100%. I totally remember that too. I mean, we're celebrating at your retirement party. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it because I had a track meet, and then you retire, and then fast forward a few months, you are telling me about this lump. Turns out you do have cancer. We're like, what the heck's going on? You literally just retired. Like, what are the chances of that? And so, go ahead and tell the people, what was that like? That whole entire process, because the whole entire time that you caught cancer was when I started my entire college career, and we were both going through. I was training hard. When you had cancer, my goal was for you to come out here and be able to watch me compete. And I pushed myself to the absolute limit for that to happen. And then, lo and behold, I ended up getting hurt my freshman year. I went super hard. I was trying to make that thing happen. And then, I ended up getting knocked out for 5 months straight. And so we were both fighting our own individual battles. What kept you motivated, man, to go ahead and get all that treatment done, go through all that pain? How was it for you?
well, when it first started, they didn't know it was cancer. They came up with one diagnosis, and then they fought through that, figured out it wasn't that. Then they figured out, okay, well, now it was cancer. So the day that your dad was driving you to school, that was the day I went into surgery, because they decided I had a choice: either get surgery or go through chemo and radiation, which they said was really bad. So I thought, okay, well, I'll go to surgery. It's a faster recovery time, and you go in, you get out, and you're done maybe in a couple months. Well, then all of a sudden, the day you were driving to school to come down to Nebraska, I had that surgery. Surgery. Well, the surgery didn't have to have those removed. So I lost a lot of teeth for that process, but I always say it wasn't because of the cancer. The cancer had my teeth pulled out, but it was smoking. And I'm not one to preach about people smoking and stuff like that. People could do whatever they want to do. They're adults. But because I smoked for 25 years, it ruined my gums. And so I had gum problems, which made my teeth kind of loose. They weren't very healthy. Well, now all of a sudden, now you got this cancer problem. Now it's like, okay, well, now we got to remove all these teeth.
Mm.
So before I even started the chemo radiation, now I got to go to the dentist and have like 12 teeth removed because they weren't, up to par, because your mouth gets so damaged from the chemo or from the radiation that there's no coming back from that. And if you get all of a sudden have gum problems or teeth problems, you're not going to be able to get them fixed because your mouth's so damaged from the radiation. So
Right.
they got to preempt that situation and then take care of that. So that's what we did. So then I had to get my teeth pulled. I had to wait like a month before that all healed up before I could start the radiation. Well, then that process started. And so then it was 7 weeks, like I said, 7 weeks in a row. And the first 3 weeks weren't too bad. It was like it was going through it. It wasn't bad. All of a sudden, week 3.5, all of a sudden, well, you can't taste food no more. You can't swallow anymore. And, all of a sudden by week 4, you're on codeine because the pain's so bad. Well, then all of a sudden week 5 comes in. I mean, now it's really, really bad. And now, you can't swallow at all. You got big, huge sores in your mouth. I mean, it wasn't a fun situation. And then once you got by week 5, all of a sudden my numbers were bad for my blood counts and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden they had a pause of a week just to get things back in normal. And then week 7 or week 6 through probably 9, I was on codeine and morphine just to handle the pain. The
Wow.
pain was relentless. I mean, and it just kept going on. I mean, I remember the last treatment I had on day 35, Dad and your aunts came and my wife rang the bell and everything like that. It was all exciting, but they don't tell you the fact that, that treatment from the radiation lingers on another 3 weeks or so. It keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And I mean, you came and saw me when you and your brother came by and the aunt, and we were watching basketball and stuff like that. I mean,
Right.
I was just a bag of garbage
Yeah.
sitting there, man. It was a bad situation, but it was a 90% cure rate. So I got like 3 scans in, so things are going good, man. I mean, I'm happy to be here. That's for sure.
Got to tell you, man, you're a fighter. I mean, everybody in the family knows, man. I mean, you go down swinging. It's not like you just gave up. I mean, a lot of people in that situation, especially after retiring too, they would have thrown in the towel. They would have, thought, why me? But you had different things. You had different plans in your play. I mean, you thought to yourself, all right, I want to beat this. I want to watch my grandson go ahead and compete in college. I want to watch my other grandson grow up. You had different plans rather than sitting there and turning over and dying. You thought, all right, man, let's fight this thing. I'm gonna do whatever I have to do to get it done. And like I said, you did have to deal with a lot of the messed up things. You mentioned your teeth gave out. Tasting was difficult. And so you also mentioned smoking as well. And I want to kind of get into that a little bit too. I mean, I know it took a real long time to get over that addiction. I mean, can you go ahead and talk about when you started smoking, why, and your motivation for quitting?
Well, I started smoking in a teenager in high school,
Mhm.
and I probably smoked till year 40, and I drank. So, it was just one of those things where I gave up. Everything was kind of hard to give up. You know what I mean? Realistically, my father, who I never knew, was an alcoholic. And I think that runs in your family. So, if one person's an alcoholic or has substance abuse problems, it might be hereditary where other people in the family have it.
Were
So
addiction or just alcohol in general?
Addictions to anything, really. I mean, you might be addicted to cigarettes, or, you could be addicted to fast foods, really. I mean, just whatever. I mean, just you have cravings and you just can't get rid of them.
Right.
So I always smoked, and I finally really what got to me one time was your dad's grandmother. So it would be my wife's mother.
Mhm.
She had a brain tumor or something like that, and she ended up being in the hospital. And I was sitting there and I was kept running out for cigarettes, and I'm thinking, man, if that was me, not only are you going through all this misery of being sick and having surgeries and stuff like that, but now you got to go through addictions of not having cigarettes because you're going through withdrawals of nicotine.
Wow.
I thought, you know what, I gotta just stop this. And in order to quit, you have to mentally want to quit. You could try all these different things and all these different fads that they have out, but mentally, you have to tell yourself you're going to quit. You have to be strong mentally to quit. Because if you're not strong mentally, you're just going to keep caving. You go to a bar, you see somebody has a couple beers, oh, I'll have a couple more cigarettes. Well, you're never quitting.
Right.
It's either all or nothing. For me, at least for me, that's the way it was. It's all or nothing. So just like with alcohol too. I mean, it's just like, I can never always just have a couple, it's always like, well,
Might
you
as well
keep
go all
going,
the way.
you keep going to the edge of the line and, crossing over. So it's like, for me, it's all or nothing. So, when I quit cigarettes, it was all or nothing. And the same thing with alcohol, it was all or nothing. So, you know what? I feel a better person for all that. So,
Yeah, 100%. Congratulations for you finally, getting over that too. I mean, that's got to be so difficult doing something for 25 years straight, not really thinking twice about it, going out for the constant cigarette breaks and having to just completely come to a cold turkey stop. I mean, that is ridiculously difficult. And, when you were going through those withdrawals too, I remember my dad mentioning that, you did have like cold sweats and you were going through it mentally when you were going through that process of quitting. So how long do you think it really took for you to 100% be done? Did it take a month? Was it a year process? What was that like, the withdrawal process at the very end?
oh God, I would say months,
Really?
literally months, because other people are smoking, and even when people come in from being outside, you smell it on them.
Yep.
It's like, oh man, it smells good.
Right.
Wish I had one or something like that. And now it's to the point where let's say you go to a casino and you go in there and it's just like, oh man,
Yeah, that's disgusting.
it is disgusting. Yeah, it doesn't smell good at all. But when you're in the moment and doing it, it smells great. I mean, you can't wait to have another one. I mean, you want another one. It's all of a sudden, half a pack a day, whatever. And
Right.
the amount of money I saved is ridiculous. I mean, now like in the city of Chicago, I mean, a pack of cigarettes, I think it's like $11 or something like that. So it's like, and you smoke a pack and a half a day. That's a lot of money in a week and a lot of money in a month. You keep adding all that up. Heck, you go on a nice vacation from all your cigarettes.
Go on a vacation from your addiction problems.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, it seems like the cigarette has transcended throughout the years. I mean, what are you talking about? Like the 70s was when you were in high school, right? You were born in 63, so
no, I was born in 57.
Oh, born in 57. So what? The early 70s, late 60s, then is probably when you got into smoking, right?
Mm-hmm.
So get into smoking, late 60s, early 70s, and it's real cool at the time. And I'm pretty sure there were even advertisements back in the day of smoking's cool. Like there really wasn't no studies, no reason to not smoke. So you guys were having at it. And so nowadays, we've kind of upgraded to vapes. All these new types of nicotine, these battery packs. Like it seems as though like every single generation, this just becomes a new type of addiction in new shape or form.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, there was just a young kid on TV. He had a double lung transplant in Chicago, first time with a double lung transplant, and he was vaping and rather heavily. And all of a sudden, he got like pneumonia. He caught pneumonia or something like that. Wow. His lungs collapsed, and he was on a machine. And they tried something new. They put breast implants to replace his lungs to keep his blood flow going and airflow going.
Right.
And then he had a double lung transplant, and he's still alive to talk about it. But he was vaping, rather heavily. Right. He said, and that's what it was from. So I mean, you just got to be careful. Like I said, anything in moderation is fine, but when you start overdoing everything, it's not a good situation.
That is ridiculously sad. You think back to, I mean, I'm 20 years old now, no longer a teen, but when I'm 19, 18, 17 years old, to think about having a double lung transplant too, because, me in my sport and track and field, I kind of utilize my lungs every single day. I've had teammates who smoked. I have teammates who kind of get crazy and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm dying at practice, especially as an 800-meter runner, as an endurance runner, all day, every day. I'm going on 6-mile runs. I'm doing these hard workouts, not like a sprinter where I just got to go hard for 8 seconds. I mean, I'm going like for minutes. I mean, 2, 3, 4-minute efforts when running. So the thought of just losing that is just disgusting to me.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, people that smoke probably can't run around the block. And, you're hard for miles.
Yeah. It's disgusting, man. And so there's one story that I remember you talked about back in the day when you were growing up, and it was your story about when you first got into football. And, things were a lot different back in the day, as you mentioned before. But go ahead and tell us your high school story of, what it was like, that one football drill where they kind of lined you guys up. And I'll let you go ahead and tell the story. What was that story?
Well, there was a couple of things in football. I remember, the one time they had me standing there, and I was very thin and small at the time. And then they had the guards and the tackles and the linebackers come running at me, and I had to block them. And I mean, I just went flying backwards. And I mean, right on my butt, and they busted my chin open. I'm bleeding, and the coach goes, I was like, oh man, I got to get out of here, man. I'm bleeding. He goes, well, you're gonna miss watermelon if you leave. I'm like, I could care less about watermelon. I'm sitting here bleeding, but and I tried out. I also tried out for cross country. I don't know if I ever told you this story. And we went running, and we ran like, I don't know, a third of the way, and it was like, oh man, this is crazy. We had to run like this real far distance and come back. So we ditched in this guy's backyard and stayed by his house. And then when we saw everybody coming back, we ran back out and kept running back. And then, we quit after that practice too.
What about so back to the football one too. I remember, you got your chin busted open. They have these, these huge guards running at you as you're standing still, you're taking a beating. You walk outside too, and wasn't your bike stolen as well?
Yeah, right. As I was practicing, I see some guys over by our bikes, because our bikes were all chained up against the fence. And I'm like, Coach, I think those guys are stealing our bike. He goes, don't worry about it. It'll be there when you're gone. When you're done. And sure enough, we got there and our bikes were gone. They cut the lock and stole our bikes. So
you got his chin busted open and you got his bike stolen on top of that. How's that sound?
Long walk home of shame. That's what it was.
Oh man, yeah, this has been an awesome podcast so far, man. We're gonna go ahead and send this to break, but we're gonna go ahead and learn more stories right after this.
Hi, my name is Molly Party. I'm a realtor with MP Dodge Real Estate. I'm a newly licensed agent and considered numerous brokerages before deciding on MP Dodge. I chose the company that gives me the most support in my new career, plus guidance and encouragement along the way. MP Dodge has a unique mentoring program for new agents. It's helped jumpstart my career and has a supportive management team and administrative staff. So if you're contemplating a career in real estate, look no further than MP Dodge. It will be the best decision you make.
Whether you're looking for a place to stay for a concert at PBA, a Nebraska home game, or just a night on the town, the Courtyard Lincoln Downtown Haymarket is the place for you. Enjoy an evening at one of many restaurants or bars within a short walking distance. Business travelers at the hotel will enjoy free high-speed internet access, a 24-hour business center, and large in-room workstations. And check out the bistro, where you'll enjoy healthier food and beverage options, as well as high-tech conveniences. Book your room today at the Courtyard Lincoln, downtown Haymarket.
I'm Christy. I used to smoke cigarettes. I had smoker's cough and severe shortness of breath, and I knew I had to quit. Then I tried e-cigarettes, but I just ended up using both. I really didn't start to get better until I quit smoking completely. My tip to you is just cutting down on the number of cigarettes you smoke isn't enough.
Call the Nebraska Tobacco Quit Line, 1-800-QUIT-NOW, 1-800-784-8669. Paid for by Tobacco Free Nebraska. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Celebrate Thanksgiving this year with Venue Restaurant and Lounge and Venue at Home with our Thanksgiving to-go meal packages. Our packages include sliced turkey breasts and roasted gravy, herb stuffing, Yukon Gold mashed potatoes, a harvest salad, and more, with add-on options to upgrade your feast, including smoked ham, prime rib, sides, appetizers, and desserts. You choose delivery right to your home or pick up at our Venue at Home storefront. Order today at holidaysbyvenue.net. That's holidaysbyvenue.net.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Mario fue pintor más de 30 años. Cuando me dijo que se le estaban olvidando las cosas, fue difícil. Un día me dijeron que pintara el marco del lado por dentro y pinté el lado de afuera.
Yo le diría a la gente que le diga a su familia lo que está pasando con él.
Si algo se nota diferente, podría ser Alzheimer. Es momento de hablarlo. Visita alz.org/nuestras historias para saber más. Un mensaje de The Alzheimer's Association y The Ad Council.
This is Bud Seinhorst, President and CEO of LIBA, the Lincoln Independent Business Association. Join us every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket for the LIBA Business Hour, as we discuss local business and highlight those who are thriving in the Lincoln area. It's the LIBA Business Hour, Saturdays from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
If you're not going to Memorial Stadium for a home game and don't have any travel plans for away games, there's a great place in Omaha to catch the action, the Inner Rail Food Hall. There's plenty of space. The Backstretch Bar has amazing game specials on game days. $15 Blue Moon and Bud Light pitchers, $6 margaritas, and $6 Moscow Mules. And if you're hungry, take in some of their great options from their game day pizza specials. Do football game day right in the Inner Rail Food Hall in Exarban Village in Omaha.
If you're in Seward or Milford, listen up. Select Plumbing is now servicing your area with no trip charges from Lincoln. Select Plumbing works on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate, 402-560-6197. It's not just Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area anymore. It's also Seward and Milford with no trip charges. Contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
Nutrition Authority presents Activator. University studies have shown that Activator helps with building muscle and strength while decreasing body fat. Activator is for male and females of all ages who want to look, feel, and perform their best. Activator can only be found in Nutrition Authority. Stop in, call, or visit us at mynutritionauthority.com.
Welcome to Sue's Frame Shop.
Yes. Can you frame these, please?
These are Nebraska Lottery Holiday Classic Scratch tickets.
I know. Isn't the classic Christmas artwork on them just charming? Now, be sure not to smudge it when you frame them.
But if you scratch them and enter non-winning tickets online, you could win up to $20,000.
Give me those. Here's a quarter. Let's start scratching.
Promotion ends January 3rd, 2024. Top prize odds vary by game.
You play Lucky for life, don't you?
Yeah, love it. Chance to win $1,000 a day for the rest of my life.
How does it work?
Choose 6 numbers and buy a ticket.
Then what?
Check your numbers after the nightly drawing to see if you've won.
Whoa, slow down. You lost me there.
Choose 6 numbers.
6 numbers, got it.
Check the drawing.
Whoa, how do you remember all that?
Just lucky, I guess.
Lucky for life, top prize odds, 1 in 30 million.
Leaves are falling and the temperatures are cooling down. But don't put your golf clubs away. Double Eagle Golf makes golf leagues and events possible year-round. Leagues are underway with winter leagues beginning on November 27th. Check out their deals on monthly memberships and schedule your Husker watch parties, birthday or bachelor parties, corporate and team outings, or just a good old Saturday with the boys. That's all at Double Eagle Golf inside the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street. Book a tee time today or learn more at Double Eagle Golf.
It's football season, and that means coaches everywhere are busy making game plans. I'm Matt Knipe with Liberty Law Group. Teams make game plans because no two opponents are the same. At Liberty Law, we understand that no two cases are the same. Whether facing a DUI, criminal charge, or you were injured and it wasn't your fault, we tailor our legal game plan to meet your unique needs. We are relentless trial attorneys serving all of Nebraska. To learn more, go to libertylawnebraska.com. That's libertylawnebraska.com.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
Back to The Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, everybody, we are back here live Sunday, every single 1 to 2 p.m. at the Niko Project here inside of 93.7 The Ticket here live in Lincoln, Nebraska. And so for everyone that's just now tuning in, previously in this last 30 minutes, I had my grandpa, Steve Schultz, here inside the studio with me. This past weekend, I had my ring ceremony for one of the Big Ten championship last outdoor season. So had a little, family trip. Everybody from Illinois came in to come visit and support me. And so a little bit of a catch up for all of my new listeners out there. So my grandpa actually caught cancer back in 2021, right after he graduated from working in the union for 43 years. He was a carpet layer. And so he caught cancer, and, he was kind of describing and breaking down his process of what, the whole entire process was like in getting the surgery didn't work. So he had to go through the entire chemo process. And so Grandpa, go ahead. I want you to kind of pick up where we left off with the whole entire treatment process. And so that you've done some crazy things. I mean, you'd had to get your head like strapped down onto a table where, all these radiation scans are going with you. You had a lot of teeth and gum issues. You weren't able to taste for a while. I mean, so many different things were happening. I mean, go ahead and pick up where you left off.
Okay, so when you have a head or neck cancer, in order for them to do the radiation, they make a mask. They put this like mesh thing. They softened it up in a warming tube, and then they fit it to your head, and then it gets screws on there. And so every time you go in for those 35 treatments, there is your head screwed to a table, and the radiation, you go into the cylinder, and it basically, they have little marks on there where it hits that mark every time, like a GPS, and it always hits that same mark over and over again. So when you go in, your head screwed down to the table, I asked them if they could leave like 2 screws off on either shoulder, because it's so tight. I mean, you have no room to move. Your eyelashes are actually hitting the mesh. And so, I mean, you might only be in there for 12 to 15 minutes, but I mean, the 12 and 15 minutes with your head being screwed down is tough.
Scary.
They were nice enough to let me bring a radio. I put my phone on my chest, but so the first couple of weeks weren't too bad, but then all of a sudden, it's the pain is getting worse and worse and worse. You're not swallowing. You're in just, you think of like you guys have cold sores and they're maybe the head of a pencil head, like a eraser. Now you've got them, they're the size of a quarter or, half a dollar, right, and they're down your throat. And they call them ulcers. And so, you're at home and knowing you're so super sick that you got to get in the car and go there, and they have to keep doing this to you. I was only on treatment 21 and I was in misery, and yet I still had 14 more treatments to go. And I mean, you got to go there every day, man. I mean, it was miserable. I mean, absolutely miserable. And, I wanted to quit so bad. And, the nurses, this is another thing I'd like to comment on, just the nurses. I mean, they are so phenomenal. I mean, they're trying to talk positivity into you. They're telling you, hey, you can't quit. I mean, you got to have every treatment. And, they see you at your worst and lowest point, but yet they have to be positive for you. I mean, they have to talk you through it and make sure that you come back for every treatment. And then the chemotherapy nurses, they're even more phenomenal than the radiation nurses were, because those poor ladies, they would bring in food for them every day for lunch. And it was a different medication manufacturer that would come in, person that sells the drugs and stuff like that. And so they would supply the lunch. Well, these women, they didn't have time to sit down and eat and say, okay, well, I got a 30-minute break. I'm going to sit here and eat. Somebody left, there's 12 people sitting there, and every person's getting maybe 4 to 6 different types of chemicals put in their body. They are always going, someone's alarm is always going off. They're running back and forth. They go take a bite of food, come back, fix somebody up, go back and take a drink. And just back and forth nonstop. I've never seen people work so hard, these women. And they're again, see people at their lowest point. I was to the point where I went in and just covered my head. And this was all during COVID too. So that really stunk too, because you always had mask on, and I had to go in, and, everyone had to have masks. And, they just try to talk you through it and, give you positive thoughts and stuff like that. And it was just like when you and my kids and my wife, they always had positive thoughts to come up with, and, try to talk you up, because you're in such a low point. Not only physically is it terribly demanding, but mentally it was just as bad. You get in such a bad place when you're so sick, and, you're on all this medication, and you got to keep going and keep going and keep going. It's just like, you want to give up. And people keep talking to you, hey, you can't give up. You can't give up. And, people have to know there is light at the end of the tunnel, and, to keep fighting, and that's one thing I always wanted to talk about too. I hope I didn't put pressure on you, because I was always using you as a turning, like a
crutch,
not a crutch, but like a rallying point. Like I always like, hey, I wanted to come see you. All of a sudden you were going down to college and you were starting to run. I'm like, I want to go see you. And I couldn't, and I couldn't come down and see your campus. I couldn't come down and see the facility where you're running on a bank track. It was so exciting. And, it was all like taken away from me. So, I kept using you, and I kept talking to you and sending you snaps and, showing pictures with my Nebraska stuff on. And I was like, I never thought about that until after everything was all said and done. You had enough pressure going on with school and track and everything like that. And here I am, hey, using you as my rallying point, saying, hey, I want to come see you. I want to do this and that, and kept bugging you. And I hopefully it wasn't a detriment to you. I hope I didn't put more pressure on you than you already needed or wanted. You know what I mean? So if I did, I apologize.
Yeah, listen, man, it was nothing like that at all. Like I said, when you were going through that whole entire process, like I mentioned, you said you had that taken away from you. I felt, the same type of way. I came to college like, yeah, I am pursuing my degree. Yeah, I am pursuing becoming a Division I athlete. That was my dream all this time. But it was like, man, like my grandpa's got, back home going through this treatment, probably one of the most difficult battles of your entire life that you had to go through. It's like, damn, like, I really wish I could be there for you, but I couldn't. I was, drowning in schoolwork, drowning in these workouts. But I will say, one thing that did get me through some of the hardest workouts of my entire life was just thinking about you, man. I was like, all right, like if I, knock out this workout, if I finish first out of all these guys here, I'll be able to compete. I'll be able to, wear this uniform, and he can either watch me through the TV, he can come here and watch me in person. And as I mentioned, I did end up getting hurt that year, but it did teach me a lot. You ended up beating cancer. And then, when you were healthy and when I was healthy, you were able to come back my sophomore year, and that's where I competed. And you still get able to see me. And even right now, you're able to watch me as well. Now I'm coming into my junior year, and now you're healthy as well. You went through all that. You beat all those mental battles. You did everything that you had to do, and I did everything I had to do. And now we're here at the light at the end of the tunnel that you mentioned before. So, and also thinking back to what you said about the nurses as well. That is truly amazing what they're able to do for you too. My mom also works in the medical field, but this is a completely different field that you were working into. Just thinking about, those girls having to go back and forth between helping people like patients, going back, eating. And on top of that, the whole entire COVID situation with the masks, with, the social distancing. The hospitals just had to be hectic during this time period.
Well, and two, when you go to these places, and, I went to a smaller place. I didn't go to like a big Mayo Clinic or something like that. Well, when you go in there, no matter if it's 9 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock,
always working.
It's always packed. And there's always people waiting to go in. And it's frail women. Now I'm 60, I was at 63 at the time. And, there's people that are 70, 80 years old. And this stuff is beating the heck out of them. And, you see them sitting there, and it's just like, it's just very depressing. Not only, hey, I'm here with these people, you know what I mean? It's like, I'm one of these people. And
Right.
it was just, you see them, everyone waiting and just miserable and just sitting there, and everyone's just down and out. And like I said, that was the mental thing of it. Like, it was tough, man. It was really tough getting through that, but and it was just nonstop, no matter what day of the week it was. And for me, a lot of people, they were only going maybe every other day or maybe twice a week, something like that. Here I am going 5 days a week, and I get to see it every day. And I mean,
Right.
yeah, it was like I said, it was just very tough. And I was thankful that at least it was older people. I didn't have to see young kids in this because this happens to a lot of young kids too. And there's pediatric cancers and stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of kids that are sick and stuff like that all the time. And I didn't get to see that, thank God. It was just the older people. I mean, I feel sorry for any kids. My theory is illnesses should always come to the older people. It should never come to like you or like your dad or my son. You know what I mean? I would never want to see anyone younger than me get sick. I'm older. I figure I could fight it. I could handle it. I don't want to see any of my family get sick. I'd rather take care of it. And the older people should always, unfortunately, pass away before the younger people. You don't want to see nobody younger than you die.
100%.
Nobody younger in your family. I mean, it's just the tree of life.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone that passes away younger, it's a very sad situation. So you never want to see people sick, but it's part of life. I mean, no one lasts forever. So
Yeah, no, our time here is very limited, and life does work in very mysterious ways. And so when you do mention them, people that are very young passing away, or people that are just catching these illnesses, these terminal illnesses, where there's no coming back from it. I mean, it's awful, but at the same time, too, you hate to see the older people get sick as well. I mean, like you did say, it is the circle of life. I mean, one day we're born, and one day we'll die, but I mean, everything in between is just for us to enjoy. So
yeah, right.
So yeah, going from there though, man. Like I said, congratulations for beating that. That is a huge turning point in your entire life. And so something I did want to mention too, going back into what life was like, in the early 80s. So, you had my dad, he was born in 82. You had your oldest daughter, his sister, which I believe was born in 79. And then your youngest child, she was born in what, 84, 86, something like that?
Well, no. So they were born in 80, 84, and 86.
No, my dad's birthday is actually 82.
82. Okay, yeah. So it's 80, 82, 84.
80, 82, 84.
Yeah, every 2 years. You're right.
Every 2 years. So you had them. And so my dad, he had me when he was, 19, 20 years old, at the age I actually am right now. Can you go ahead and talk about what that whole entire, thing was like, where, my dad, he's my current age right now. So he wasn't able to go to school. He had to go to work right away. I mean, what was your initial reaction when, my dad came home that day and was like, hey man, I'm having a kid. What was that like?
It was shocking. It was shocking, but he manned up and he started coming to work with me and stuff like that. And, he lived up to his requirements. You know what I mean? I would never call it a mistake,
Right.
but you know what? He, did,
It was a
did
mistake.
what young kids do. And, unfortunately, they had a child and,
Yeah.
Both him and your mom stood up and manned up and, manned up to the situation. And they did a great job with you. I mean, when you look and see what they've done with you and your brother, it's been fantastic. And it wasn't easy having kids when you're teenagers. And I mean, it was hard for him because, he wanted to go to college and stuff like that. But you know what? He started working and he started paying the bills. You needed diapers, you needed food and stuff like that. Your mom took care of you guys. It was a great, fantastic mother and stuff like that. And they both did a great job. But, it wasn't easy for him. I mean,
Right.
I'm sure they would have loved to probably, live their younger 20s and maybe gone out and do some stuff and, go out and see the world and stuff like that. But, when there's a kid born, it's, 24/7, 365 days a year. It's not like, having a little puppy or something like that,
Right.
You got to always have something to do. And, then it's just, that's
it
part
is.
of life, man. I mean, but they manned up and took care of everything and did a great job. So, look at you now. So
Yeah. I mean, it is crazy, having parents that are, 38, 39, 40 years old, especially being 20, because a lot of my teammates and a lot of my friends nowadays, I mean, their parents are like closer to your age, man. Like I said, you're my grandpa, you're 67, right? You just turned 67, you said?
Mhm.
And so, a lot of my classmates, teammates, like, yeah, my parents are in their 60s. And I'm like, what? Like, dude, my dad's 40, bro. Like, what? Like, well, you're 20. I'm like, I know, isn't that crazy? Like, the thought of me having a kid right now is just insane. I mean, looking back at it, times were very different back in the early 2000s, the 90s, the 80s. I mean, I feel like it was very normal for people to have kids 18, 19, 20 years old. And then now I feel like if you have a kid at 18, 19, 20, people are like, oh, snap, what are you doing? Like,
yeah.
isn't it? What is your thought on that? The times changing more and more and more, and people, wanting to have less, like not wanting to have kids as early.
Well, people, I think, like to live their lives a little bit and, not have kids until they're, maybe in their upper 20s and younger 30s and stuff like that.
More established.
Yeah, right. More established financially and, get to live their life and see what they want to do and establish themselves in their occupations.
Right.
And, sometimes, people all of a sudden decide, hey, kids ain't for me. And they just want to go travel the world and spend their money to do their own thing. Cause, having a child is very expensive. I mean, I forgot what the average salary is for, like $100,000 a year or something like that, but it's expensive to have a child. So, and my theory always is if every parent could make their child a little bit better than they are, this would be a great world. Mm-hmm. And I know your parents have done that to you. And I think I've done that with my kids. Mm-hmm. So, and it always helps if everyone, makes the cycle better. And that's what makes the world so much better. You got all these people that are so bright and intelligent. That's because their parents all worked with them and gave them the education and gave them the tools to become better people. And I mean, now you're going to college, you're going to be great. And if you ever have kids, that's your job. You got to make them better than you are.
Yeah. Keeping the family tradition going. So yeah, this has been a great segment right here. I'm going to go ahead and send us to break one last time before we end up this episode of the show. Thank you guys.
Leaves are falling and the temperatures are cooling down, but don't put your golf clubs away. Double Eagle Golf makes golf leagues and events possible year-round. Leagues are underway with winter leagues beginning on November 27th. Check out their deals on monthly memberships and schedule your Husker watch parties, birthday or bachelor parties, corporate and team outings, or just a good old Saturday with the boys. That's all at Double Eagle Golf inside the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street. Book a tee time today or learn more at Double Eagle Golf.
At Fairway Meat Market, you're family. And as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries. Thanksgiving is near, and Fairway is now taking orders for fresh turkeys, holiday hams, prime ribs, holiday trays, and more. Save yourself the stress of waiting until the last minute and order ahead this year for your holiday meals at Fairway Meat Market in the Rockledge Square Shopping Center just south of 84th and Van Doren.
A team succeeds when they work together. Banking's no different. At UBT, we're in your corner for every financial move you want to make. Your money's backed by a roster of experts who put in the work to know you and your community. So whether you're opening a savings account, buying a home, or planning your future, you always know who to turn to. Working together toward your financial goals. That's a win in our playbook. Union Bank and Trust. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Power combo BOGO? Huh?
Yes, if you purchase an air conditioner, you receive a furnace completely free. At John Henry's, our professionals want to ensure you are comfortable in your home all year long, no matter what Nebraska has to throw at us. Call today to schedule your free estimate and learn more about the free furnace waiting for you. Give John Henry's a call today.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
Plains Cover Crop is your one-stop seed shop. Call us now for spring and summer forages, CRP mixes, and fall cover crop blends. We do farm-specific consulting for practical and efficient seed blends to fit your geography and goals. With a very diverse inventory, we will tailor a blend just for you. We're also looking for contract growers, and we buy and sell rye. Find us online at plainscovercrop.com. Timeless agronomy practices paired with modern technology. East Highway 20 in Orchard and across Nebraska.
This is Brian at Midwest Bank, and we've been proudly serving clients in the Lincoln community since 2008, and we're excited to open a second location in January 2024 at 70th and Pioneers Boulevard. Our new branch will provide all the convenient services you're looking for in a bank, along with the friendly staff we're known for. Whether you're starting a business or expanding your business, our team is here for you, your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Find out more at midwestbank.com, member FDIC.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of Local Union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
This is Bud Seinhorst, President and CEO of LIBA, the Lincoln Independent Business Association. Join us every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket for the LIBA Business Hour, as we discuss local business and highlight those who are thriving in the Lincoln area. It's the LIBA Business Hour, Saturdays from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
At Jimmy John's,
We don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
Early break with Sip and Jake.
In my opinion, Nebraska is still in the driver's seat. Wow. To win this thing. They're in the driver's seat.
That would be incredible.
If Wisconsin hadn't lost Braylon and a high ankle sprain, you don't play again that year. I mean, losing him is monumental.
It'll be interesting to see a team that's missed so many bowl games in a row, to how they could handle potentially having the mentality of being in the driver's seat.
Early break with Sip and Jake from 6 to 8 every weekday morning on 93.7 The Ticket.
It's the best time of the year to order a new John Deere self-propelled windrower from Landmark Implement during the early order program. Hay harvest is a race against time. Order a new John Deere self-propelled windrower to harvest your hay quickly and efficiently while promoting quick dry down for high-quality hay. Now is the time to lock in the best price of the year. Contact your local Landmark location for full details on a new self-propelled windrower and experience the Landmark difference.
Back to The Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, everybody, welcome back for our last segment of the Niko Project, live here every single Sunday from 1 to 2 p.m. Today, I've had the honor of bringing in my grandpa from Illinois. His name is Steve Schultz. Steve ended up, or my grandpa, beat cancer back in 2021. Actually, when he was diagnosed, he recently retired from the Union back in 2021, and so right when he retired, he ended up getting diagnosed with cancer, unfortunately. But he has overcome everything. I mean, he's finished up with most of his treatments. Everything's gone smoothly, and so this whole entire podcast has just been talking about the trials and tribulations of what it took. Toll mentally, physically, everything, just, finishing up 43 years of working for the Union and then coming down with cancer. I mean, it's tough. And it did. Fortunately, he had a 90% survival rate and, he demolished that. He beat cancer. And, now I kind of want to just take this last 5 minutes to kind of just, thank everything for working out the way it did. I mean, I was, his son, which was, my dad had me when I was super young. I think he was 19, 20 years old. I'm about to turn 21 here in December. And so it is crazy how everything has come around full circle, man. I mean, from when you had my dad back in 82 and, you had to work all these different jobs to, keep food on the table. And then, my dad, he had to, go to work at a super young age. You couldn't go to college. You couldn't travel. He literally just had to hunker down and, put on his big boy boots and, raise a kid. And then so that I can be here right now, having this opportunity, being in college, having a good time, having fun and competing to be a D1 athlete. I mean, there's a lot that went into it. So, yeah, what's your kind of thoughts on all that?
Well, you look at the big picture of life and, I changed his diapers. I've changed your diapers. And, here I am now. And, now you're 21 years old. I mean, you just look back. I mean, it makes me feel old, but, it's just amazing how to watch everyone growing up. I mean, your dad, I was foreman for the last, 30 years out of the 40 years I was working, 43 years. Well, he's actually become a better installer than I ever was, or a better foreman and stuff like that. So, I mean, he's learned. And I mean, I always certain parts of the flooring. Well, he expanded his horizon and he's done such a much better job. So, I mean, he just really produced so much better and he's learned so much more. And that's a great aspect for him. But another thing I wanted to thank was just everybody who always my wife, when I was sitting at home, I'm one of those guys that are independent. I'm not going to sit there and yell, "Hey, Mom, meatloaf," and, and just say, "Hey, I, go get my water and get my stuff." I always want to get my own stuff and do my own thing. Well, back when I was going through all that stuff, I was living on 1,200 calories a day. It was like a Boost drink was 500 calories. I could barely get the one down for dinner, and then maybe an Assure for lunch. I was living on 1,200 calories, just drinking, no food whatsoever. And so it was either that or I'd have to get a feeding tube stuck in my stomach. And I'm like, you know what?
No feeding tube.
No feeding tube for me. Thank you very much. So, but, my wife just gave me my space, whatever I needed, she'd go out to the store and buy it and make sure I had everything and, try different things. And, I know I was miserable for her and crabby and terrible, and I felt sorry that she had to put up with all that stuff. So, I mean, I thank her million times over. But then, like my 2 daughters, my son, you and your brother, and, your mom, everyone was always so positive, man. And, my daughter's husband, everyone was just always positive and saying positive things, even though I might not have looked that I was accepting of them, but they meant a lot. When you're sitting there all by yourself, laying there, and you just keep thinking all the positive things people telling you, and you want to work your way through and fight your way through everything. And, like I said, I just kept fighting my way, and, I wanted to see all the things in life, I didn't want to give up. So, but, there were times where it was, bad situations, man. Sometimes bad thoughts come to your mind, and, you just want to give up, but, you just got to fight through it. So, but, thanks to everyone in the family for, having my back and helping me get through it, because that meant a whole lot.
Yeah, man. Heck, man. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, like I said, when we heard the news where you were diagnosed, it was like, dude, like, come on, man. Like, of all the times, of all the people, it had to be you, all right, when you finish your retirement. And so you, like I said before, I mentioned this over and over, but I mean, you could have just turned over and, gave up doing the towel and said, I guess my time's here. But I mean, you kept on fighting. You had those goals. You had those, dreams of coming in and watching me compete here at the University of Nebraska at a D1 level. And it was my goal to, have you come and watch me. It went hand in hand. And so, like I said, you beat that, and we're at the light was at the end of the tunnel. We're here, man. We did it. So, yeah. And everybody too. We're gonna wrap up this podcast, but we're actually gonna be on for the next hour as well. So if you stay tuned for the next 10 minutes, we're gonna dive a little bit deeper into my grandpa's, career and everything he went through over these last 67 years. So, Grandpa, thank you so much for knocking out this first hour with me, man. And we'll be back here shortly. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you struggle with joint pain, there's good news. You don't need surgery to get back to full health. South Point Medical and Aesthetics offers breakthrough non-surgical options for treatment of moderate to severe joint pain. Our patients experience little to no downtime from our procedures, and the results are remarkable. They've had 14 years of successful treatments with patients from 35 states because of an effective word-of-mouth traffic. Learn more about how you can get lasting results for joint pain today at southpointmedical.com or call 402-323-8400.
Is your backyard ready for fun with friends and family this fall? GE Landscape Supply has pavers and boulders, which are a great accent for any landscaping project. And you can find them at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere, nearby or far away. Stop by at 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Go to gelandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
So what's this new concept happening at 1040 O Street? There's 93.7 The Ticket, there's The Mill Coffee and Tea, and there's Grandma's Bake Shop and Beatrice Bakery? Well, yeah, it's all of those things. It's a place for the community to hang out, grab a drink and a bite, and just chill, or work, or meet, or chat, or whatever you want to do. 93.7 The Ticket, The Mill Coffee and Tea, Grandma's Bake Shop, and Beatrice Bakery, all together at 1040 O Street.
Hi, Sean Callahan here of HuskerOnline.com, inviting you to join us here on 93.7 The Ticket every Saturday morning now in our new time. We're on from 8 to 9 with the weekly Husker Online radio show. We'll give you the latest in recruiting. We'll talk about what's going on with both football, basketball, and we'll probably share a few stories from the inside. It's every Saturday morning right here on 93.7 The Ticket. It's the Husker Online radio show from 8 to 9 a.m.
All right, Rico, let's do the final checklist before we head out. We have a lot of people coming to the tailgate today.
I'm ready.
Burgers? Check. Chips? Check. Icy cold beer? Check.
Except this one.
I'm forgetting something. Wait a second. Where's the Führer's cheese spread? I can't stop eating it. Rico, relax. I always pack extra. It's the biggest hit of the tailgate.
For the best appetizer, party dip, and tailgate snack, load up on Führer's cheese spread today. Found in most local grocery stores.
This is Brian at Midwest Bank, and we've been proudly serving clients in the Lincoln community since 2008, and we're excited to open a second location in January 2024 at 70th and Pioneers Boulevard. Our new branch will provide all the convenient services you're looking for in a bank, along with the friendly staff we're known for. Whether you're starting a business or expanding your business, our team is here for you. Your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Find out more at midwestbank.com. Member FDIC.
Join Planet Fitness now and get the PF Black Card for only $24.99 a month. You'll enjoy an upgraded experience with tons of perks.
Like access to more than 2,000 locations worldwide?
Yep.
And massage chairs?
Yes.
Can I bring a friend every time?
Sure.
Can my friend be a horse?
Nay. Sorry. Get the PF Black Card and feel fit-tacular. Only $24.99 a month. Our most popular membership, the PF Black Card, is your ticket to getting all the perks. Join today. See Club for details.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
I think it's just vapor.
Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it?
There's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
One vape pod has as much nicotine as one pack of cigarettes.
My kid
knows it's dangerous.
5.4 million American kids vape, and most think it's harmless. Get your head out of the cloud. Talk to your kid about vaping. Visit talkaboutvaping.org. That's talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
So what's this new concept happening at 1040 O Street? There's 93.7 The Ticket, there's the Mill Coffee and Tea, and there's Grandma's Bake Shop and Beatrice Bakery? Well, yeah, it's all of those things. It's a place for the community to hang out, grab a drink and a bite, and just chill, or work, or meet, or chat, or whatever you want to do. 93.7 The Ticket, the Mill Coffee and Tea, Grandma's Bake Shop and Beatrice Bakery, all together at 1040 O Street.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. Live from the heart of Lincoln, America. Welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, everybody, welcome back here live 2 to 3 p.m. here at 93.7 The Ticket. And so I just finished up my hour before this on the Niko project from 1 to 2 p.m. and we're keeping it going from 2 to 3. And so previously, for any guest who is not just now joining us, I have my grandpa, Steve Schultz. Steve and I are both from Illinois. This past weekend, I got my championship ring here at the University of Nebraska for winning the outdoor championship for the track team. And so I was celebrating on the field during the third quarter. And so, the family came by, drove down, mom, dad, grandpa, aunt, uncle, everybody was here to support me. And, everybody's almost made their way home. But grandpa, man, he decided to stay the way, go ahead and hop on my radio show. And so he has a very long drive here tonight, but, it's going to be very well worth it, man. The show's been awesome so far. And, we've been talking about his story, about how he overcame cancer, about how, he retired back at 21. He got diagnosed with cancer in 21, overcame that. He was able to see me compete my last year, my sophomore year. And yeah, he had a real motivational story. He was talking about his experience in the hospital with the nurses, his experience about how he lost his taste. And, now everything, all the pieces are kind of falling back into the right places. And so, Grandpa, I would love to hear more about, your work career, what life was like in, the 70s, the 80s, even the 60s, if you can even go back that far. I kind of want to hop in a time capsule and, see your point of view of how things have, changed over the years. I mean, were things, how different were things, from the 60s, to current day, to 2023?
Oh, well, I always tell people, all these young kids, save your money because, 1 week you might be working and have a good week and you got a bunch of money and the kids will go out and spend all their money. Well, then the next week they only got, 20 hours or something like that. Then they don't have no money. It's like, you got to control your money and save your money. But, and the one story I always tell these kids, like we go out of town a lot, the company I worked for, and we go out of Hawaii or, we've gone overseas and stuff like that. Well, back in the day, there was no cell phones. There was no ATM cards or debit cards. So, I had to call my mom, have her wire money, you get a Western Union, take my check, go to the currency exchange, put it on a Western Union. And then if I wanted to call her, I had to have a pocket full of quarters.
Really?
I mean, life wasn't easy like it is now. I mean, I can remember back in the day, Grandpa always telling me, hey, get up and turn the channel. There was no remotes for the TVs and stuff like that. So, I mean, life has gotten much easier now. And, but there's a lot of good things about life. And there's also, with the technology the way it is, it's also a lot of bad things in life too. You watch the news and, people take things to, a dark place and stuff like that where they shouldn't do. And, stalking people and doing bad things on the internet. And, so, I mean, it's great. Like, if I wanted to go travel or go anywhere, you always had to have a book, an atlas with maps and look at things like that and write things down. Well, now you got, GPS that tells you where to go. And it's like, oh, wait, there's an accident over here. You better go this way and save yourself 3 minutes. It's like, I don't even know how it does that stuff, but it's just amazing that it works like that. And I mean, it's changed. Life has changed so much. And I mean, for you guys, it's normal. I mean, for me, it's really not normal though. I mean, before, like we were talking last night, me and my daughter, where, we had to have an encyclopedia if we want to look something up. Now it's like, hey, Google, what's this? What's that? And you just get the answer. I mean, right at the tip of your fingertips. I mean, it's amazing. Like, it wasn't like that back in the day.
Yeah, no doubt. And so something I want to ask you that, is really interesting to me is, do you think that people have always been this crazy? I mean, you open up social media and you see the craziest thing. You listen to the news and you hear all these wild stories. But do you think that these things that have been happening for a long time, like what you mentioned before with the stalkers and all of this, or do you think that this has always been going on, but now that social media is a thing, we're just shining a light on it? Do you think that's true?
Without a doubt. Yeah. I think people have always been crazy. And, now it's to the point where, everything on social media, news 24/7, it's just more prominent. And it's just more out there more. Back in the day, you didn't have, 24-hour news stations. You didn't have media where things were popping up and it'd go all over the country. Things go viral and stuff like that. People in the rural areas where people, didn't get out to, they could do whatever they want. Nobody ever knew about it.
Right.
And, whether it's, locking somebody into a shed or something like that, or whatever, killing people. I mean, it just, you didn't hear about it as much because it was, wasn't knowledgeable. Nowadays though, I mean, it's just everything is just right up front and right in your face. And I mean, it's just the way it is, man.
Yeah. I mean, you see all these famous documentaries now on Netflix of all these serial killers and stuff like that. And you think now, like, man, how are they able to get away with that? Because nowadays I feel like there's no way you can get away with something like that with tracking. I mean, I feel like every single time you pick up your phone, I mean, somebody's listening. You're able to get tracked, just like this. Apple could turn off your phone just like that. I mean, I remember, you came to visit me a few weeks back, and you and my dad surprised me at the football game, and my dad had my GPS location on. He's looking at it. He's like, man, why is he taking so long to get here? He's literally tracking my step-by-step of exactly where I am from Find My iPhone. And you were just sitting there amazed, like, man, how does this dude like tracking his location? Like what? Like you couldn't even believe it. So for mine, that's hilarious because I grew up on that my entire life where, my parents are tracking me, where you at, blah, blah, blah. I mean, like, it's almost like my life, my entire time. I was born with the phone in my hand. So there's been a magnifying glass over every little microscopic step I would take from a kid until now. I mean, everybody's watching.
Right. Well, I was at a job one time and this guy's wife was coming out and he had her tracked on the phone with the same type of deal that you had in your phone.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, she's at McDonald's. Like, oh, wait, now she's at the car place getting her car. She just left there. Why is that? I'm like, why don't you call her and ask her instead of tracking her like a stalker, just call and ask her a question. I mean, it's just, but instead he was just watching her on the phone, every move. It's like, I don't know, man. I don't get it sometimes. I really don't.
Yeah, no, it's definitely insane. And so something I kind of want to talk about too. I mean, you grew up, you worked, hard labor your entire life. I mean, you were installing floor, you were on your hands and knees, having to work inside these hotels, having to go to all these different places. I mean, it's hard work laying floor and taking up floor. I mean, it is difficult. And, you don't like to use knee pads, which I think is crazy. But like whenever I work on a flooring job, I always have to use knee pads. And like, I feel like growing up and when I would help you guys in your little side jobs and stuff like that, I mean, like it toughened me up quick because it made me realize what I don't like to do. And what I don't like to do is, do stuff like that. I mean, it was
manual
labor, dude. I mean, it's hard. The money, yes, the money is nice. I mean, I feel like the cash is so fast with that. But at the same time too, like I really want to utilize my skill set, my knowledge with social media. I mean, stuff like this, being able to sit down at the studio and talk after, 6 days of, my body is getting abused on the track, having to do all these miles, having to do all these weightlifting workouts, and like being able to come in here on a Sunday, kick it, just, talk to reach thousands of people to the radio. I mean, that to me is where it's at. And it's just crazy where the times come, because you used to never even be like this.
Yeah. Well, for one thing, who's ever working in life, you got to make sure you have money to succeed for life.
Right.
I mean, because when you retire, you need a lot of money. If you're used to living on $80,000, $100,000 a year, you got to have that kind of money in your, retirement fund.
Right.
So for me, I was in a union, and the union is, people complain about unions and stuff like that, but I probably rang up about $500,000 worth of bills through the cancer treatment.
Yep.
Never paid a penny. Okay. I've got insurance for the rest of my life, no matter what. I've got a pension. I get money. Like when I retired, I wasn't hurting because I couldn't work, because I got Social Security and I also got my pension. So my bills were always paid. I didn't have to worry about anything. So that was a huge relief during that time. But, now I've got that money for the rest of my life. Your dad's the same way. I mean, now his future is set for the rest of his life, and he's got his money. Your mom's, future with him is the same way. She's all set up and everything like that. But let's say if you have a job and you don't have a union, you got to build your 401k up. You got to have a lot of money in there. And a lot of people take it out for, weird reasons. Oh, I'm going to buy a car, or, I'm going to buy a boat or something like that. That's the money that you're going to need to retire on when you're 80 years old and you got nothing. You got to save that money. You can't use it and spend it frivolously.
Yeah.
You can't squander that money away, because you got to plan for the future. And, people don't really plan for the future, look ahead, but you really got to look ahead. I mean, you don't realize it till you get older.
Yeah.
And, I'm older, so you got to have something a pot to reach into.
Man, no doubt. I mean, I don't know if it was like this back in the day, but I feel like with advertising and with social media becoming so prevalent nowadays, these advertisements to spend your money have become so enticing, man. I mean, when you're scrolling on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, whatever the case may be, and you see an advertisement for something, I mean, you don't really know what you're buying, but everything in there looks so good. It looks like it's so worth like buying. I mean, like I have friends who have a genuine problem buying stuff off of Amazon and, swiping their credit card, just swiping because the things look so good nowadays. And it's hard because, like it's like almost like catfishing on a dating app. It's almost the same thing with what you're buying on these social media apps. I mean, you don't really know what it is nowadays, but I mean, it's so easy to spend money. I mean, there's Venmo, Cash App, Zelle, Apple Pay. I mean, there's so many different ways. Google Pay. There's so many different ways to spend money nowadays.
Yeah, but you don't have to leave your house to buy anything.
Exactly.
You don't have to leave your house to gamble. And I was watching you and Harrison here, talk about football, and everyone's got their
the
fantasy football and stuff like that. Well, now you got FanDuel and all that other stuff, or all these casinos got their gambling apps.
Yeah.
You could spend $5,000 on a day and just not even leave your house. You're sitting on your phone. So
crazy to think like that.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of people get in trouble for gambling, and all of a sudden it's like, you just worked a whole week and you made $500 and you got nothing left. I mean, what are you going to do for food? What are you going to do for gas? I mean, guys can't get to work because they don't have any gas money. And but well, you spend it all gambling, or you spend it on dope or something like that. It's just it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I know it's unfortunate. I mean, there are a hell of a ton of ways to go ahead and spend your money nowadays. I mean, I've seen a bunch of memes on social media where people, they're sitting on the couch next to the wife, and it's just they're absolutely just locked into the game because they bet their entire paycheck on like the Golden State Warriors, and the wife's just sitting next to him, and the guy's just there like literally shaking, like I got like $3,000 that I made just on this game right now. You're absolutely locked in. I mean, it's sad. It's sad. It is a genuine problem, but at the same time too, I mean, it is a blessing to think that like there's people that don't even have to leave the likeness of their own house. They can just stay there, make over $100,000 a year. I mean, I'm not sure how familiar you are with YouTube and AdSense revenue, but I mean, there are literally people out there who literally do day in the life videos, tutorial videos on different things, tutorials on how to play video games, tutorial on TV shows, really whatever the case may be. If they're successful and they have a good following, they have more than enough money to go out there and make a decent living. And there's people out there who absolutely grind. I mean, you, for example, when you were coming up all these years in the union, 43 years strong, kicking in carpet, and you're working for a hard paycheck anywhere from $80,000, $100,000 a year. There's people out there making millions just chilling at home. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, I know one thing for a fact. If you see someone swearing at a game, freaking out, he's probably losing a lot of money on that game.
Yeah, no doubt. Vegas is a crazy place. Vegas is
Well, that's on TV. I mean, like I said, now you could gamble on your phone.
Right.
So, I mean, if you're sitting in a bar and someone's freaking out, he's probably losing a lot of money, whether he bet his friend or he bet somebody.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's no reason to get that upset because, you know, being a Chicago fan,
Hey.
the teams stink most of the time anyway. So
Right.
it doesn't really make a difference. I mean, you know, you learn not to bet on those teams, but I mean,
Yeah.
you know, shouldn't get that upset over a sporting event. I mean, it's just a game.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, being a Chicago fan is pretty depressing at the moment. It seems like all our sports are kind of falling through at the moment with the Chicago Bears and stuff like that. But that's all right. I don't want to get depressed talking about my Bears back home. I want to kind of talk about you know, what things were like, you know, just a few years ago. So when I started playing sports back, might have been like 2013, 2014 when I first joined football and everything like that. I mean, what was your, you know, perspective? Because you were at every single one of my games, my sporting events. You were always there taking pictures. You had a camera on you. I mean, you're always, you know, you've watched my progression from when I was, you know, 13, 14 years old to the current day where I'm 20, 21 years old. I mean, what's that process been like, seeing me go from, you know, an athlete who was kind of unnoticed from a small town in Illinois to you know, being here at this university in front of all these people?
Well, you know what? It's, you know, we watch you go into football and we want to see you do real good and stuff like that. But also we didn't want to see you get hurt. You know, how many people get concussions or how many people get broken legs and someone's always tearing their ACL. And I mean,
Right.
my daughter tore her ACL twice playing softball through college. And I mean, you know, now she's feeling the results of it. I mean,
The
you know,
effects.
now the arthritis is setting in and, you know, she has sometimes a hard time walking when it's cold outside or whatever, you know, and, you know, it's just tough because, like I said, she had 2 ACL surgeries, and I think she had probably 2 or 3 scrapings too for her knee. So, I
Oof.
mean, you know, she was a catcher, and you know that's tough. But on your football teams, I always seen kids getting hurt and stuff like that, and going down. And you know, we didn't want to see that happen to you. So we were kind of happy when you went into track because it's like, okay, you know, now we don't have to worry about you getting hurt too bad unless you know, like you said, your freshman year here. You overdid it and you had a shin split and stuff like that. But I was glad that right after the cancer, I came out, and the first trip I took by myself, we came out here and watched you run.
Yeah.
And so, you know, unfortunately I didn't have no teeth. I didn't look too good. I couldn't eat anything, but other than that, I was able to drive out here. So that was good. And I mean, that was just the thrill of my life to come out and see that. I mean, that was fantastic because, you know, I didn't know if I was ever going to get to see that. So, but you know, now with your brother, now I get to watch your younger brother coming up and doing the thing. And, you know, it's going to be great to watch his progression and see what he does in life. I mean, you know, because he's a real smart kid, and I know he's going to be very successful at what he does. So,
Exactly.
yeah, it's fun. I mean, you know, and I like watching you because the indoor is totally different than the outdoor.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's a whole different mindset. And, you know, indoor, you're running around your short track, and then outdoor, it's so much bigger. You got the wind you worry about. And, you know, it's a whole nother scenario. But, you know, it's just tough that you're doing it twice where, you know, in some sports, you know, hey, you're done with your season and you move on to something else. But you know, once you're done with the indoor, then it's right out to outdoor. And so it's tough, man. But it was fun watching you win in Indianapolis when you guys won the Big Ten championship. That was super exciting, man. I was so glad that I was there that day.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, you know, when I'm out there too, I haven't shared the story with anybody out there, but I mean, I didn't make the 800 final that day. Unfortunately, I think I missed it by like, you know, 2 or 3 spots. And then when it came to the 4x4, I think we placed like 6 points or 3 points total out of 4 guys. So you divide that by 4. I mean, I technically scored like 0.8 points for my team when they ended up winning the Big Ten championship, and we beat everybody by like, you know, 30 or 40 points. And they mentioned that it was the biggest win or the biggest point total for a Big Ten team to win the championship by ever since 2004. So I mean, we absolutely blew the field away that day. But I mean, I got that ring on my finger, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, man, this is awesome. But I want another ring on my finger, knowing that I actually contributed more points to that. Because like me individually, like it almost felt as though I was just there for the ride, because there were guys out there who scored like, you know, 20, even 30 points all put together. And yes, it is a team sport, but I was like, man, like I want to be there for my guys. I want to be able to say like, you know, I put up, you know, 6, 8, 10 individual points. Like that I actually contributed to that, because like I wasn't able to perform my best that day. And yes, my teammates got me, but it was like, I'm going to make sure next year in the future that, you know, next time we're at a big championship meet like that, like my guys can actually rely on me and count on me, because our indoor season, we actually lost by 7 points the previous indoor season. And so if I would have, you know, placed anywhere, I think second or first in the 800, we're winning by 1 point, winning by 2 points, you know?
Right.
So it's like, you know, next season, that's my goal. Is
Well, Wisconsin, they really stacked the team that year for that
3K,
1,600 or 3,200 or something like that, because they had like 6 guys in that race, and all 6 of them finished in top 10.
6.
Yeah, and it was like they had so many points, and that's when they took you guys. Oh, excuse me. when they took you guys when you guys were in Ohio for the indoor championships, because you guys had that all the way to the very end to that last race. And they had so many guys in that race, and then they overtook you by the 7 points that you said. So, I mean, if it wasn't for all those guys in that race, you guys would have had that one too.
Yeah, no doubt in my mind. I mean, yeah, it is difficult having to lose the points by 3 or whatever the case may have been. But hey, I mean, I know now. I mean, at the Division I level, growing up, it's actually funny what motivates people to go Division I. The thing that the thing that motivated me when I was younger to go Division I was back in 2012 when Ohio State was playing. I don't know who they were playing in the national championship, but I remember watching that game live on football, and they ended up winning the championship. I'm like, bro, I want to go to Ohio State and play football one day. Like, that is my absolute goal. That's all I want to do. And then I actually didn't even get accepted into Ohio State. None of the track coaches reached out to me, and I was super like upset about that. I was like, man. And then this amazing opportunity for Nebraska opened up late senior year, and then here I am running 800s at the University of Nebraska. It's like, dang, like, I thought I was going to, 1, play football, 2, go to Ohio State. And then everything kind of flipped around. 1, like, I don't play football anymore. And 2, Ohio State, like, they're actually like our rival now because they're pretty competitive in track. So it's like, it's crazy how things end up working out.
Yeah, well, I can remember when you broke that record in Chicago on that bank track, and then all of a sudden Nebraska called you and stuff like that. Now, my girls, when they went to high school and went to college, and now listen, they got a great degree. They both became very successful at what they're doing, but there was a small school. It was a Catholic university, and but they got a great education, and the sports was good too. I mean, they played softball. It was very competitive and stuff like that, and they were able to get scholarships and stuff like that. It was not even a D3 school or something like that. It was a Catholic conference. But they were able to give them money and stuff like that. But their college was inside the middle of a town, like Joliet, Illinois. It was in a residential area, so there was no campus and stuff like that. So when you came here, you really turned it up a notch, man. I mean, it's like, oh God, a D10 school. And then I come out here and I see this place. The campus is amazing. The facilities are second to none. I mean, it's like, there's, I hate to say it, we're pretty junky, you know what I mean? And, but, oh man, coming out here was just like, wow, man, just so impressive, man. And I mean, you got to be just in awe of what you're doing out here. I mean, so now it's like, like you said, now you got to perform. And, maybe next year win all conference or do, fight your best to get up there. And I mean, I think you've already got your name on some walls here, and you just got to get your name on some more walls and break some more records and, reach the goals that you're set for yourself.
Yeah, it is crazy living it live in the flesh, especially with, the Olympic year coming up. And to even think that, if I perform, if I really put my mind, my soul, my body to this, that, if I really lock in, I could potentially, sneak my way into that somehow, or, if not this upcoming year, but, 2028. Just depends how I play my cards right. If I do everything the right way, that I could potentially, be there performing. And to think that, 1, I might have not have even been going to college if I didn't break that record back in Illinois. And then 2, just being here and, being a D1 athlete. I mean, you don't really think about it a lot. I mean, when you're living it live in the flesh, it's crazy. But I'm sure, post collegiately, I'm going to look back and think, that was pretty cool. Or even like what I thought this was before versus what I think of it, after. It's crazy. It's crazy going into a Division I college. It's honestly nothing like I could have ever imagined. Honestly.
Right. Well, we got to remember, you were playing football at a school that the program was not very good.
Yeah.
And when you might have been good in your conference with the 4 or 5 teams that are in it, but then when you went and played all these other schools, you got your teeth kicked in.
No doubt.
Okay. But then when you went and started running track, your track coach is an awesome dude, man. I mean, his program is top notch every year. They're always going to state. They're always competing, and they were fantastic. I mean, and that was a huge uplift for you. I mean, all of a sudden you're doing that. You're getting trained by a really good guy, and you just start doing really good. And now all of a sudden it's like, hey man, something's happening, man. Something's coming from this. And, now all of a sudden look at yourself. So, I mean, one thing I thought was kind of unique when we were in Indianapolis, all of a sudden, like you were, you look at you and you're like, oh yeah, you look pretty old. You're almost 21, you're 20 years old and all this stuff. But then you look over there, you're running against guys that are 24, 25. You don't look so old then.
I know.
I mean, you're looking like a little kid over there. It's kind of like when you're in 8th grade and you go to high school, 8th grade, you're the top dog. And all of a sudden you get to high school. Now you're a little punk. And, people are pushing you around and stuff like that. Well, now all of a sudden, you graduate high school, you think you're a big top dog, you get to college, you're just a little punk again.
Yeah, back to the bottom, right? And then, when you go from collegiately too, and you go to the professional level, when you enter in the, the pros, you're back at the bottom, versus the veterans, the guys who've been doing this for a while. So we're going to head to kick this thing off the break. We'll be back here in about 5 minutes.
Belmont Chiropractic and Novotny Nutrition and Wellness specialize in getting rid of people's pain quickly and permanently. For 31 years, they've been extremely successful with advanced techniques in pain relief using spinal adjustments and decompression, detoxification, diet and lifestyle modification, and more. They are fully equipped to handle the most seasonal athlete, weekend warrior, car accidents, strains, sprains, and more. Is there anywhere you're experiencing pain on your body, or are you fighting decreased energy and depression? Consult Belmont Chiropractic and Novotny Nutrition and Wellness first at 402-476-8619.
Is your backyard ready for fun with friends and family this fall? GE Landscape Supply has pavers and boulders, which are a great accent for any landscaping project. And you can find them at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere, nearby or far away. Stop by at 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Go to gelandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
Sunday morning. It's quiet, not in a weird, too quiet way. Calm, peaceful, tranquil. You pour yourself that cup of coffee. You slice yourself a hearty chunk of one of Beatrice Bakery's breakfast breads. Now, maybe you're an apple streusel guy. Nothing wrong with that. I can respect that. Personally, I'm a turtle nut man. Something about those pecans. But the real ones know, don't sleep on that date nut bread. Sweet, but not too sweet. Nutty, not overly. The perfect morning treat. Beatrice Bakery. Online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
Power combo BOGO? Huh?
Yes, if you purchase an air conditioner, you receive a furnace completely free. At John Henry's, our professionals want to ensure you are comfortable in your home all year long, no matter what Nebraska has to throw at us. Call today to schedule your free estimate and learn more about the free furnace waiting for you. Give John Henry's a call today.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
And electrical.
Leaves are falling and the temperatures are cooling down. But don't put your golf clubs away. Double Eagle Golf makes golf leagues and events possible year-round. Leagues are underway with winter leagues beginning on November 27th. Check out their deals on monthly memberships and schedule your Husker watch parties, birthday or bachelor parties, corporate and team outings, or just a good old Saturday with the boys. That's all at Double Eagle Golf, inside the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street. Book a tee time today or learn more at Double Eagle Golf.
Experience the Landmark difference with the next level of dealer support. Landmark, your local John Deere dealer, continually works to have parts on hand the first time you walk in the door. Our internal route system means we can get the parts to you typically same or next day to keep you up and running. At Landmark, we understand time is money. Get more uptime with our after-hours parts and service support on the phone or in the field. Our sales, precision ag, parts, and service teams are ready to serve you this planting season. Stop by your local Landmark today to experience the Landmark difference.
All right, Rico, let's do the final checklist before we head out. We have a lot of people coming to the tailgate today.
I'm ready.
Burgers? Check. Chips? Check. Icy cold beer? Check.
Except this one.
I'm forgetting something. Wait a second. Where's the Führer's cheese spread?
I can't stop eating it.
Rico,
relax. I always pack extra. It's the biggest hit of the tailgate.
For the best appetizer, party dip, and tailgate snack, load up on Führer's cheese spread today. Found in most local grocery stores. So what's this new concept happening at 1040 O Street? There's 93.7 The Ticket, there's the Mill Coffee and Tea, and there's Grandma's Bake Shop and Beatrice Bakery? Well, yeah, it's all of those things. It's a place for the community to hang out, grab a drink and a bite, and just chill, or work, or meet, or chat, or whatever you want to do. 93.7 The Ticket, the Mill Coffee and Tea, Grandma's Bake Shop and Beatrice Bakery, all together at 1040 O Street. When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club, or space club, and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about a margarita club? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge and join the best club in town. 10 flavors of margaritas like Maui Wowie, burnt pineapple, and mango tango. Try all 10 of them and receive your own souvenir margarita glass. Make it your new Monday night tradition. $4 margaritas and $4 taco baskets. Grab the crew and head on over Monday nights or any night. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Are you working in or looking to get into the electrical construction industry? The electrical workers of local union 265 are now hiring licensed journeymen and apprentices and are offering great pay and benefits. Call Mike at 402-875-1034 to apply. Start your electrical career today.
Hey, it's Chad with the Nutrition Authority, inviting you to stop in and check out the all-new complete post-workout recovery, CPR. CPR is ideal for anyone who works out or competes and wants to maximize results. CPR can only be found at Nutrition Authority. Stop in today and try a free sample or visit us at mynutritionauthority.com.
This is Bud Seinhorst, President and CEO of LIBA, the Lincoln Independent Business Association. Join us every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket for the LIBA Business Hour, as we discuss local business and highlight those who are thriving in the Lincoln area. It's the LIBA Business Hour, Saturdays from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Back to the Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Niko Project, live every single Sunday at 2 to 3 p.m. For all of my listeners out there catching up, I'm here currently live with my grandpa, Steve Schultz. Me and him are from Illinois, and so this past weekend ended up winning the championship, or getting our championship rings for winning the outdoor Big Ten championship for my track and field team. So we went onto the field during the third quarter this past Saturday and got our rings. And so he drove up here to support, and he's going to, he has a long drive after this, but, me and him have been on the air for about, hour 30 now, just chopping it up about life, kind of going over, life story and stuff like that. And so actually, just thinking about it now, I was talking to my dad before I got on the show. He wanted me to ask you about your dad and your parents, what that was like growing up, because I don't think you really talked about him very much. And, if you're comfortable talking about that, or if you're not, just let me know. But, what was your childhood like growing up? From like the early ages, like from when you were born to like, teenager. Were you at home a lot? Were you, out and about a lot? I know your dad really wasn't in the picture that much, but for what you remember, what did you know about him?
Well, I hate to say it. I'm sure my mother would never call me a mistake, but I was a mistake. So, because my brother and sister are 10 and 11 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
And so my father was an alcoholic. And like I was saying earlier, sometimes all that stuff is hereditary and it comes back, And so, I always had a problem struggling with alcohol and stuff like that. So I always think that was from that. But I never knew my father. He had me, and then all of a sudden he started drinking again. And then I never really saw him. I never really knew who he was. I used to be in school, and my mother always says, don't ever go with your dad. And he would come up. I'd be playing at recess, and he'd be at a fence. Hey, come here, Steve, come here. And I'd go run to the office because I'm not supposed to go by him. And then, so I really never knew him. And, he would, I hate to say it, like ride the box cars and stuff like that to travel around. And he was just like a full-out alcoholic.
Right.
And one time my brother was at a bowling alley somewhere in Illinois, and some guys were making fun of this drunk guy, and my brother wasn't doing anything. And they were like, well, what's the matter with you? Why ain't you saying nothing? And he's like, well, that's my father. And, it was real embarrassing for him and stuff like that. And then, he died of alcoholism and stuff like that. So, but, I grew up in a single family home, and then all of a sudden I was in a single family home with your dad and two sisters. So, it's kind of weird how things turned around. It was good for me, though, because I was able to get custody of you guys. So when I got divorced, my wife, your dad's mother, was, kind of out there, man. She had a lot of mental issues and stuff like that. So I was able to get in touch with you guys. I wasn't a perfect father by no means, but, we raised a good life. I worked hard. I showed you guys the work. I showed your parents and my daughters the hard work ethic. And now to this day, they've all become very good, individuals at, maintaining their lives and stuff like that. And they're able to, live their own lives the way they want to live them. You know what I mean? They're not dependent on anybody. And that was always my goal in life, to make everyone self-sufficient and be able to live their own lives and, not depend on me. Last thing I wanted when I was growing up was having, a 35-year-old kid sitting on my couch in their underpants playing video games.
Right.
You know what I mean? I want them to go out and live their own life so I could live my own life. And, when I retire, I could, do what I want to do. And, your dad, my two daughters, or his two sisters, they're doing fantastic, man. They're living their own lives, doing what they want to do. They all have their own houses, their own careers, and they're doing very good for themselves. So, that worked out very well, that things have gone like that. So, but yeah, not knowing your dad, my mom worked all the time, and then she gave me that work ethic. She put food on the table and always worked hard. And same thing with me, being a single dad, all of a sudden, now I got to learn how to cook everything and do laundry and everything and be self-sufficient. And that's why, I was saying earlier, I'm an independent guy. I like to do things on my own. I don't need nobody to do anything for me. My theory when I was growing up was if you want something done right, do it yourself.
Mhm.
And so I don't mind doing it myself because I'll know it's done the way I want it to be done. And sometimes you let people do things and it's not the way I wanted it done. Well, then do it yourself. Don't rely on other people to do your job. So yeah, unfortunately, I never knew him.
Yeah, that
But
is
yeah,
unfortunate.
yeah, she worked hard, and my brother and sister, unfortunately, sister not around no more, and she had lupus, and she had a lot of diseases. I mean, there's so many diseases out there, and so many things that bring you down. And my brother's got multiple sclerosis. My sister had it too, and you always wonder, well, am I going to get it?
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But we were talking earlier about cancer and stuff like that. I mean, there's over 200 types of cancer. I mean, is it the preservatives in the food? Is it the stuff in the air that you're breathing? I mean, what's causing all these cancers? I mean, you could have a loaf of bread sitting in your cabinet for 3 or 4 weeks, but if you go to a bakery and buy a loaf of bread in 3 days, it's moldy.
Yeah.
So what's in this food that's making it last so long? Or you could buy canned goods that have been sitting on a shelf for 2 years. I mean, it's just what I don't know what they're putting in this food. What are they spraying on your food when they're to keep all the bugs off it and stuff like that? So.
Right.
I don't know what causes all these cancers and stuff like that, or what makes, is making everybody sick. I mean, but, there's a million ways to die. So,
Yeah, bring it on.
yeah, right.
Yeah, going back to what you mentioned about kind of like the family tree. I mean, in our last episode, you did mention that if every single parent decided to raise their kid better than how their parents raised them, that we live in a better world. And you've done that, man. I mean, from the way you raised my dad and his sisters to the way that my dad's raised me. And my goal always for me is to kind of I wanted to kind of be like the person who's pivoted our family history, our family direction. I mean, I wanted to be able to look back at this moment like, all right, like where did our history change? And coming to this university, I think was definitely a big step here, number one. But I mean, like I definitely have goals and aspirations of getting our last name, the Schultz name gets out there, like far out, so that people look at us and like, dang man, like they're pretty well respected, they're pretty high up on the rankings. Like that's always been my goal ever since growing up and stuff like that. And so hopefully that when I have kids, they're able to look back like, dang, dad did a lot. Like time to double that, double down on that. Like it's almost like records, records here at the university. Like all I want to do is break that 800-meter record. And so if I ever break that record, I would want somebody to come and break that record. I mean, records are meant to be broken. I truly live by that.
Right. Well, look at when you guys were at Drake University last year.
Mhm.
I mean, you guys had a great day, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you won that trophy, and that was another great day in your life, man. And that was awesome. And
I'm glad you got to experience that one. That was fun.
yeah, that was cool. I mean, like I said, I try to make as much as I can. Can't make them all.
Right.
I mean, a lot of times when you were down in Arkansas, Texas, and stuff like that, those are hard to get to.
Yeah.
But I
SECs.
mean, yeah, Drake was not bad. And but one thing I'd like to do, I would hope sometimes I don't know if it's even going to happen in your career at Nebraska
Right.
to have a home track meet. You know what I mean? Because you don't have a home outdoor track. Your indoor track facility is phenomenal.
Beautiful,
I mean,
right.
yeah, it's one of the top in the country. But your outdoor track, there isn't one. I mean, you have the track itself, but no bleachers, and I don't know if you have a scoreboard, what have you. But I would love to see that. I mean, this is your 3rd year now. You
Right.
don't have one. I would like
Right.
to. I don't know if I'll see one or not. But it's kind of bad because you guys always have to travel. I mean, it's
Yeah.
got to be expensive to have 40, 50 people traveling on airplanes and stuff like that. It'd be nice to have a home track, save a little bit of money too. So
Yeah, no, without a doubt. I mean, it definitely is depressing traveling there. I mean, we're working out there as well. I mean, it's very difficult when you have nothing surrounding you. I mean, the bleachers. The reason that they even put up bleachers too is to block the wind from coming in too. Because if we have a real windy track, we're not going to be able to host a Big Ten championship or really any big meet. Because let's say we're running the 100 meters and they have a tailwind of like 7.8 miles per hour, 10 miles per hour. None of those times are going to be eligible. None of those times are going to get you ranked. None of those times are going to be beneficial. They're just going to be running to run. And so for the 800 for my times too, I mean, if there's, a 15 mile per hour, 20 mile per hour headwind, it's going to be real difficult for me to go out there and run a regional mark because, let's say my PR is 148. If I have a 20 mile per hour headwind in my face, I'm not going to break 150 that day. I'm going to be lucky to run 150.151. And so training there is just absolutely just difficult for my event, at least. I mean, it's very hard for a distance runner to train there. You're dealing with all the elemental factors. So yeah, I mean, I'm hoping in the coming future that we are able to finish up that track, finish up that project, because I think it's a beautiful spot. I mean, we're able to see the soccer field. We got the Devaney Center right behind us. I think the locker room location will be great. I work, they're just, I don't know what's going on being in the back room. I can only control what I can control, but from an athlete's point of view and from a family member's point of view, it'd be awesome to go ahead and finish out the track meet, at least before I graduate. I mean, I just want to get one in. I only got, this year, if I decide to stay a 5th year, I technically got 2 or 3 more years, but I mean, my career is coming to an end.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, when you look at the Devaney Center, that place is top notch, man.
It's
I mean,
insane.
not only for track, but you've got
volleyball,
and wrestling in there. Yeah, I mean, and gymnastics too. I mean, that place is beautiful, man. I mean, that's top notch over there. So, you know, I would love to see him do something here, but like I said, it's out of both of our control. You know what I mean? So, you know, one day maybe it'll happen. If not, we'll keep driving around and seeing other places. I mean, you know, because I know Drake was enclosed. It had bleachers all the way around. They were built up and kind of blocked the wind. And I know when we were in Indianapolis for the Big Ten Championship, you were kind of down in a bowl too, where, you know, the bleachers were all around and stuff like that. And so that's great. It's kind of weird, though, when you go to Ohio. And maybe you could talk about that, is because here you run – it's 200 meters, right?
Correct.
Your track. Right. Well, then when you go to Ohio, it's 300 meters around that track. It's not banked.
Right.
And I mean, is that something different? I mean, do you have to totally run a different race? And I mean, not only affects you, it affects everybody. So, I mean, everyone's running underneath the same thing, but I can never understand why the Big Ten picked that place to run. I mean, it's a great facility and everything like that, but I mean, it's not what everyone has run the whole season. And now all of a sudden, you know, you go from a 200 meter, maybe bank track, or maybe if it's even not banked, now all of a sudden you're on a 300 meter track. And, you know, I think you have to prepare differently, no?
Yeah, it is difficult. I mean, from my knowledge, I believe that we signed some type of agreement so that we would go for like, I think 3 or 4 years or whatever the case may have been. I know we started going there in like early, like 2016, and, you know, our contract's going to end up short. I think this is our last year actually inside of, you know, I think it's called Spire Academy. And, you know, it's honestly used for a lot of basketball tournaments. So some of the best basketball players in the entire nation go there to play. It's a really well-known and respected facility. But from a track point of view, for my respected event, the 800-meter run, so I go from a normal 200-meter track, which is 4 times around. At that track, since it is 300 meters, I go 2.5 times around. So my strategy does change. You know, it's hard for me to kind of gauge where my 400-meter mark is. I like seeing where my 400-meter mark is because every single time I'm crossing the finish line, it shows up on the scoreboard. But for some reason, the 400 is in the middle of the track on a random location on some type of a curve. So, you know, when I showed up there for the first time running, I had no type of sense of direction of where I was in the track. You know, I was kind of running until I heard the bell. And when you hit the bell, you're 500 meters in with 300 to go. So normally when you hear a bell, you only have 200 meters to go. So you can just straight dead it for the finish line. But when you have 300 meters left in your race, I mean, you are just a little bit past halfway. So yeah, for me, it is difficult, but at the same time too, it does yield a lot better times. I mean, I ran a very good race that day. I strategized it well. I kind of was just going with the guys I was racing because, you know, I had no idea how to run that race in my first ever time on a 300-meter track. And so, yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I had a real good experience at Spire. I think a 300-meter indoor track should be created at more places, honestly. I mean, a bank track is cool and all, but it kind of does feel a little bit of like an unfair advantage if you know, are in like lane 3 or 4 and you're getting that boost. I mean, it's very different as compared to outdoor.
Mm-hmm. And then how many times have you been to Spire? Once or twice?
Once.
Okay.
Yeah, I was supposed to. I mean, like I said, this thing's been going on since 2016. So, I mean, it's been going on ever since then. But yeah, for me, it was my first ever time going to that. And I think this year might be our last time going to that as well.
Okay.
So, yeah, Spire. I mean, it's cool. But I am pretty excited for what's to come in the near future. I mean, I think we're planning. I don't know if this is future news or not. Everything's just, you know, hearsay. But we are thinking about hosting the Big Ten Championship at our place next year, potentially. So it would be awesome.
Yes, it would be.
So awesome. We're going to go ahead and send us to break real quick and go into our last segment.
This is Brian at Midwest Bank, and we've been proudly serving clients in the Lincoln community since 2008, and we're excited to open a second location in January 2024 at 70th and Pioneers Boulevard. Our new branch will provide all the convenient services you're looking for in a bank, along with the friendly staff we're known for. Whether you're starting a business or expanding your business, our team is here for you, your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Find out more at midwestbank.com, member FDIC.
Hi everyone, Kendall Warnock with A1 Automotive in downtown Lincoln. If you're looking for an automotive repair facility you can genuinely trust, we would be grateful for the opportunity to earn your business repairing your vehicle. We have ASE master technicians and qualified to work on a variety of vehicles from Hondas to Porsches, Jaguars to Toyotas, and Chevrolets to Fords. We pride ourselves on customer service and relationships, and we would be grateful for the opportunity to serve you. Give us a call at 402-477-4660. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Fall has arrived, and it's the perfect weather for the DIY market to listen to the game while building a deck. Deck City is a great place to start as Lincoln's local source for everything decks. Deck City has everything you need to build the deck of your dreams, from treated lumber to Westbury aluminum railings and Decorators composite decking. They offer advice from real deck professionals to give you proper guidance and to make your project go smoothly. Call them today to schedule an appointment at 402-480-6671 or go online to deckcityne.com.
So I switched my insurance to State Farm, and get this. I talked to an actual State Farm agent who lives in my actual town. And get this. My actual agent in my actual town gave me actual help with the coverage I needed. And get this. My actual agent in my actual town who gave me actual help actually knows my name. And get this. They actually say it's called service.
Call your local State Farm agent, Vinny Kreekak, at 402-474-1173. Sunday morning. It's quiet. Not in a weird, too quiet way. Calm, peaceful, tranquil. You pour yourself that cup of coffee. You slice yourself a hearty chunk of one of Beatrice Bakery's breakfast breads. Now, maybe you're an apple streusel guy. Nothing wrong with that. I can respect that. Personally, I'm a turtle nut man. Something about those pecans. But the real ones know, don't sleep on that date nut bread. Sweet, but not too sweet. Nutty, not overly. The perfect morning treat. Beatrice Bakery. Online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
Plains Cover Crop is your one-stop seed shop. Call us now for spring and summer forages, CRP mixes, and fall cover crop blends. We do farm-specific consulting for practical and efficient seed blends to fit your geography and goals. With a very diverse inventory, we will tailor a blend just for you. We're also looking for contract growers, and we buy and sell rye. Find us online at plainscovercrop.com. Timeless agronomy practices paired with modern technology. East Highway 20 in Orchard and across Nebraska.
Houses? They're expensive. And once you buy one, you're kind of stuck with it for a while. You need to make sure you get your best house for the best price. You need Ben Bleicher and his team of pros at Professional Realty Group. They'll take the time to figure out what's important for you in your dream home, and they have the expertise to find the hidden issues that could surprise you after the sale. That's professional knowledge, proactive service. We call that potential. Ben Bleicher and the team at Professional Realty Group of Berkshire Hathaway's home service ambassador. Find more online at prg-ne.com.
This is Bud Seinhorst, President and CEO of LIBA, the Lincoln Independent Business Association. Join us every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket for the LIBA Business Hour, as we discuss local business and highlight those who are thriving in the Lincoln area. It's the LIBA Business Hour, Saturdays from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
It takes a great game plan to win a football game each week, and right now, it's time to plan a trip to get a new car at Mullen Motors. Just like on the football field, there's a wall of defense on the way to Mullen Motors. 48th Street is under construction from Layton all the way to Cornhusker Highway. But the lot at Mullen Motors is full of tons of great vehicles to drive home this fall for the ultimate touchdown. Mullen Motors, still open through road construction at 48th and Walker.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now, they've raised wages again, and they're hiring for production operators at $24.62 per hour, which grows to $28.97 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $33.36 per hour, with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates, with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or apply, go to continentaljobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Back to the Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, everybody, welcome back to our show, the Niko Project, here live every single Sunday, 2 to 3 p.m. And so we're closing out to the final segment of our podcast. And so I've had my grandpa on this, man, for the last about 2 hours now. He's been absolutely killing the show. For like I said, so far his story is just real inspirational. He quit the union back in he retired from the union back in 2021, got diagnosed with cancer, unfortunately, and he overcame that. And so now he's able to watch me, his grandson, compete at the D1 level here at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. And so everything's kind of come around full circle, man. Pretty cool story. My dad, he had me real young. And so he mentioned something about how he changed my dad's diapers, and he was able to change my diapers too, because, he's lived to see 2 generations. And so something I actually want to think about too is, growing up, I did a lot of side jobs with youth, a lot of side jobs with my dad. And so we would always go to these ridiculous jobs where we had to move a bunch of this furniture, rip up carpet, install carpet. And so it was a lot of hard manual labor we had to do. But one vacation we do have to highlight is when in 2020, when everything was shut down, we actually had a real cool opportunity to go down to, I think it was Maui in Hawaii. And we went down there to complete a project for about 2 weeks. It was an entire hotel. We knocked out I think it's 9 floors, dude. It was hot, but it was such a good time. I mean, the waves are crashing on the beach. We were hitting the beach every single night. Everything was shut down in the hotel. There were no tourists, no guests, only the workers and construction workers were there. And so, what did you think about that, Trev? You always mentioned that you're taking that one to the grave, man. It was just such a cool experience with 3 generations of workers being in the same place at the same time.
Oh, without a doubt, that one will go to the grave with me. I mean, the lady that was a salesman, I talked her into having you come out with us. And like you were saying, it was during COVID.
Right.
So, I mean, we had a hard time getting through the airport. We had to get permission. And then, once we get there, the hotel is dead black. I mean, there's nothing going on at nighttime. There's nobody there. Every pool is drained. We were the only ones there. And I mean, that was a kick in the teeth for you because, I mean, you're used to helping out with some side jobs. Well, all of a sudden, now we're on this huge job, ripping up these hallways that are a block long.
Yep.
And I mean, unloading the truck, putting the stuff on forklifts and then driving it over on those golf carts. And I mean, yeah, we kicked your butt on that job.
Dude,
I mean,
it was bad. But listen, that paycheck though was crazy. I think like I said, we worked 2 weeks straight. I mean, there were some days we were putting 12-hour days. So it was no walk in the park. We were 7 days a week for 2 weeks straight. But I mean, dude, like I looked at that paycheck and like I said, I was like 16 or 17 years old at the time. I only worked some mess around jobs at Walmart or whatever the case may have been. But dude, I walked home with a $2,500 check after that job. And I was like, oh my God, tax-free money too. Like that was the first time I was like, man, maybe this could be my career in the future. But after doing it over and over again, I was like, all right, man, there's more important things than just the money in this case. I mean, I definitely gotta.
Well, it was nice. We had the beach to ourselves. We
Nice.
had a lie. And when we went out to go eat, because we weren't supposed to go traveling, we weren't supposed to leave the complex. Thank God we had a place where we went. I remember you bought a steak for $5.99. Like, I'm getting a steak, and we're like, "Well, how good's a steak going to be for $5.99?" And he was chewing like grizzle and stuff like that. It was terrible.
God, yeah. Hey, for anybody out there, if you're real hungry, I mean, I was eating some weird food out there in Maui because, like I said, all the restaurants were shut down. We were eating pretty slim out there, having I think I had like a banana and a few protein bars like each day. Like there wasn't much to eat, man. We were kind of going through it, and so we went to this random store. It was like a gas station, but it was a bit nicer than the gas station. So I had high hopes and aspirations that this $6 steak they were offering inside of the store was going to be good. And I ended up spitting out. It was disgusting. Honestly.
Well, it was a convenience store, and it was like an ABC store or something like that. If you've ever been to Hawaii, ABC store is like a 7-Eleven or something like that.
Right.
And they served hamburgers and stuff like that, and everything was good, the hamburgers and stuff like that. But the $5 steak, you're not going to get none. I mean, they had wraps and stuff like that. But I mean, we had, like I said, we had the beach to ourselves, and then we went golfing, and we weren't supposed to go golfing, and then so my son and Niko decided that we're going to go walk there. And, like halfway there, I'm dying because it's uphill. It's like 95 degrees outside. I can't keep up with these two. And then we start cutting across the golf carts. These people are looking at us like, what the heck are you guys doing here? And then they could take off because we're going to miss our tee time. They're running. And I'm like, I'm dead. I got nothing left in the tank. And so they went. And then, we're lying when we get into the pro shop. Like, are you guys supposed to be here? You got a permit? And we're like, oh, yeah, no. And then those guys had checked in before I got there and stuff like that. It was crazy. But we had a good time golfing. The views were outstanding. It was great. But hey, one thing, while we're talking about jobs and stuff like that,
right.
I see you on the show and stuff like that. And, I don't want to see you do manual labor and do a carpet layer. Now it's great money and stuff like that.
Right.
And I always tell people, hey, man, if you could do it, and, get into a trade is always a good job. And you can raise a family and send them to college and like your dad's doing now. And it works out fantastic. But, it seems like you're a natural on this. I would love to see you, keep going on. I would love to see you maybe get on a TV show or something like that, start in a small little area, do some high school games or something like that, and build up to college. Next thing you know, hey, I'd like to see you on ESPN, maybe on a Saturday special,
Hey, that would be pretty interesting, man. I mean, how I got here was a pretty crazy story as well. So who knows? Maybe my professional career, I can make a lot out of it. I feel like I build up a lot more credibility if I, became a professional athlete within the track world. I'd be able to relate to a lot of different people out there. I mean, the last thing I would want would be an uncredible source because, like, all right, what are his accomplishments? What did he achieve? And so that's my goal, honestly, is to try to become a professional athlete so I can see things from all points of view, no matter the sport, whether it's football, basketball. I mean, I feel like if I were to become a professional in my sports, to be one of the best in the world, then at that point, I would feel like established enough to be like, all right, I feel credible enough to talk about this.
Right. Well, instead of just bouncing around from here to the United States, Texas or California, Iowa, whatever, I'd like to see you get professional and then maybe start going overseas and, going to Brazil or going to Europe or,
hey, man,
going to Japan. I mean, hey, getting to the Olympics, man. We would all love to see that.
Yeah, like I said, we're just going from meet to meet in the United States. And so if I were to travel to other places, race some other guys from different parts of the world, I mean, that'd be amazing. I mean, there's dudes out there who are, 16, 17, 18-year-olds who are just natural, running professional times. And me, I got to train like an absolute maniac to try to catch up with those guys who just have the natural talent and natural ability. I was told that before I came here. Like, we're racing you because sometimes they bring in guys from across the world to come and beat you. And like I said, they get naturally out here running 144s. And me, it's taken me, I think I've been at track for 7 years now. And, it's taken me like a long time to get down to 148. But I mean, like I said, they say that your peak as a male for the track and field world is anywhere from, like 23 to about like 27, 28 years old. So like I said, I still don't think I'm even near where my peak fitness is. It's just, can I stay the course? Can I, stay sane through all of it too, Well,
look at the Drake. When you guys ran that, there was people from all over the world there.
Yep.
And unfortunately, the weather was really crappy that time too.
Raining,
I mean,
right?
It's raining and cold and stuff like that. But I mean, you know what? Even let's say you don't hit that goal, okay?
Right.
You're still way up there. You're still doing a great job and you're still competing. And, you're better than most people are. So, I mean, don't get down on yourself if you don't become the top athlete in the world. I mean, strive for it, work for it, do the best you can. But I mean, if you don't get it, you're not shabby. I mean, you know what I mean? You're doing a great job and you're out there competing and I mean, you're going to Big Ten races and you're competing against Big Ten champions and stuff like that. I mean, so, like I said, you're doing a great job. So don't ever hold your head down. I mean, we're all proud of you. We can't be more proud of you. So,
hey, like I said, you never know what the future holds. But like I said, we've absolutely killed this podcast, Gramps. Thank you so much for coming down here, staying the extra time. I know you got a long drive back, but I think it was well worth it, man. We got a lot of talking points out there, and a lot of people know your name now. So,
well, I love you, and keep up the good work.
Hey, love you too, man. Thank you so much, and thank you for all my listeners out there. See you guys next Sunday.